Antoinette Emanuova-Pateva, and I'm born in Sofia, Bulgaria. My family has always been very different compared to the families for the time being. My late mother and my late father were both doctors, high-profile doctors. My father was a high-profile doctor not only for Europe, but for many other parts of the world. He was well known. My mother was a dentist surgeon. So, the atmosphere at home has always been very different compared to the atmosphere in other homes in this country for the time being. My family, being a very sophisticated one, has been education-obsessed family, so emphasis being laid too much upon education. I believe that education is a lifelong process. I'm deeply convinced in that. And my education started very early, at the age of 2, 3, at a toddler's age, and started in English. I'm a bilingual child. So first of all, I started writing and reading in English. And at the age of 7, I started learning to write and read in Bulgarian. My first teacher in English has graduated Robert College, which has been, during the 20th century, the most prominent and prestigious American college in the city of Istanbul. She was such a sophisticated lady. She gave me so much of her culture, and she taught me English. So a language is not just important to communicate with the world. It is also a way of thinking. And I have accepted such a way of thinking at a very early age. She gave me all of her culture and a lot of the education which she has obtained at the Robert College, which is so famous in the whole of Central Europe and in Eastern Europe, in the city of Istanbul. By the way, I would mention that the most prominent politicians and scientists for the time being, the first half of the 20th century, has graduated exactly Robert College in the city of Istanbul. So at the age of 7, I started learning to write and to read in Bulgarian. That's why I say I'm a bilingual child. Later on, I applied and was immediately accepted at the English language high school in Sofia. There, we not just learned English language, but we had very serious lessons every day in classical English literature. We learned Russian language and Russian literature in Russian, and Bulgarian language in Bulgarian literature, also Bulgarian literature in Bulgarian. All of the subjects like physics, chemistry, history, and geography we learned in English. So that was a very tough, very serious high school, which I graduated with excellent marks. Later on, I was immediately accepted at the law faculty of the most famous and prominent Bulgarian State University, St. Clement Ohridski. and I graduated law. So I'm a Bulgarian lawyer. Many years after that, I continued my education as the world changed. And in 1992, I was accepted at the Free University at the legal faculty in Brussels, where I obtained an LLM degree in international, European, and comparative law. So I passed 16 huge exams in European, international, and comparative law, and defended a paper, a dissertation, dedicated to the UN and the development of the international law on minority protection. Later on, I focused very much my attention on the international trade law, and I believe it is a very important part of the international law. I have specialized for several months in Sofia, international trade law, a course organized by the Ministry of Bulgarian Trade and by the Ministry of the Trade in Washington. So the teachers who introduced the international trade law here in Sofia were prominent American professors. I never stopped educating myself. I never stopped learning, because I think that one should improve himself, herself, for a lifetime. Once we stop improving ourselves, we lose. We lose part of our knowledges, of our experiences, of our qualifications. And I believe that that is very important, to just improve myself to the best of my abilities. My career started very early. I started as a legal advisor at a foreign trade organization, which was trading with software and hardware. That was a very new type of trade for Bulgaria for the time being. My job was very tough because I had to prepare the contracts for the sale of hardware and software in both languages, in English and in Bulgarian. Later on, I continued my career at Foreign Office, and I was a legal advisor there, an expert in contract law. I was responsible to prepare contracts in both languages, and I have hands-on experience in this particular field, practical hands-on experience, which is very valuable. I continued my career at the Ministry of Justice as a member of the Legislative Council. The Legislative Council was responsible for creating the new Bulgarian legislation so that it is in line with the European regulations and directives. I continued later on my career as an attorney at law at the Sofia Bar and as a teacher in English, in legal English, in European law selected topics in English, and in international trade law in English at the New Bulgarian University in Sofia, Bulgaria. I have also been teaching English for students who are applying for the British universities at the Reading University in the UK. The job there was very interesting because students from all over the world came to study English, British English, so that they are capable to pass the SO spoken exam. I love teaching. I really enjoy teaching because I always achieve kind of intellectual acoustics. And I love my students. But my students at the New Bulgarian University, Sofia, were not just university students. They were accomplished professionals. They were lawyers, financiers, economists, and they simply were learning to obtain an LLM in international finances. So I was teaching accomplished professionals in professional terminology and in professional English. I continued teaching as a private teacher for professionals from different parts of Bulgaria, and I still continue with that favorite activity of mine. I work as an attorney at law, and I'm used to handle complicated cases. So far, I have been very successful in everything that I was up to. So, I would say to everybody, education is a very important human activity, because education is not just obtaining knowledges, but developing the ability to apply these knowledges in a creative way. So my students were very grateful, always gratified for all the knowledges they obtained from me, and I'm so happy for all of my students, because we not just learned together, but we enjoyed learning. And that is, I think, something I'm deeply satisfied with. So that is something I would like to say briefly and to the point. And I continue to improve myself. I really believe that education is a lifelong activity and should be for each and every person. The world is changing rapidly. So should our education change accordingly. Thank you for your attention.